Well, Hippy Trev here. Another lovely day up here in paradise. Roll the intro.
Hi, Hippy Trev here, and welcome to my channel. Hope you get something out of it.
Rightio, well, so I've had a few people ask me about my bike, what it is and so forth. I do have videos going back earlier showing the build and everything I've done to it over the time, but just for a quick rundown, this is what she is. This is a 94 FLSTN. Didn't look like that when I got the bike, and here's some pictures of what it did look like when I picked up this bike nearly 6 years ago. So this is how my bike looked when I first got it. It had Western bars, floorboards, big musk-rail, crash bars. Also had a stupid hyperthermy hypercarburetor on it, and it just, yeah, I'll get into that later. Solid spoke back wheels, so, and they're a long dash and just a very flash looking bike basically. Couldn't expect to own something so good. And the artwork is airbrushed, and it's all allegedly done for Ollie, a guy named Ollie, who was allegedly the graphics art designer for Star Wars. But as an old biker said, if it ain't signed, it don't mean shit. So anyway, that's what my bike looked like when I first got it. So that's what she used to look like when I first got it, literally like a showroom bike. I don't think the people I got it off ever rode it that much. I think it was the Sunday swap meets and that was about it. And it certainly doesn't look like that now. I've turned it into my bike. So, and a lot of it I've built from Darren Cross's parts down in Gympie. And there's quite a list if we go around. So I had a front guy replace my front tyre quite a few years ago, and he managed to snap the Speedo cable. So Speedo cable and innards are from Darren. The clutch bracket, master cylinder bracket here, they're from Darren. I bought them as a switchgear setup. These are my switchgear. When I had the Western bars on it, basically I just wanted to use my wires and everything, so basically I just chopped them, added some extra cables when I put the APs on, 16-inch APs, and used my own switchgear for that. But that's Darren's, and that's Darren's as well. For people who don't know, the screwdriver's there, not for a weapon, but if I need to tighten up my GoPro fittings. So we come further down, and we get down to the dash. Now the Speedo, which I've still owe you $50 on that Speedo, Darren. I'll get to it. So the Speedo's from Darren. As the early one showed, it had the big long chrome dash that used to blind the shit out of me, and so I got the shorter dash, which I like anyway. Got the little tank bib here with my soother pocket, carries all my soothers. Even the trip meter there. Now every Harley I've owned, the trip meter's never worked. I had this button. Now that's held together with plastic and glue and lots of other things to make this trip meter work, but the actual button did come from Darren. Petrol caps, I just had two plain ones and $50 for a pair of them. They were pretty cool. Now I've been wanting a long time to find original mid-70s, late 70s, early 80s original Harley foam hand grips. I had these metal and rubber ones as I was riding with gloves on, which I never do, but in the cold, it was just a nightmare to hang on to. So I got a pair of these foam grips, original mid-70s, late 70s, early 80s Harley foam grips. I did buy some from Burrs and Bits many years ago, and within about 4 or 5 months of them being on the bike, the foam just disintegrated. But these, absolutely love them, and now my hands don't slip off. Coming back around to this side of the bike, we have inside there is a primary chain adjuster and chain that when I blew the drive belt in the driveway, the belt on here is also from Darren. I dropped my belt in the driveway in the shed as I was about to take off. There it is there, snapped. And when I pulled the primary all off here, it had this automatic adjuster in there. I didn't know anything about it, and so I bought just a standard primary adjuster and chain, straight off Darren, boom, no problem. Forward controls, floorboards, gone. The big musk-brow, bloody mustache thing that was been on the front of the crash bars, hated the look of them, just hated everything about them, just got rid of them just got rid of them. Bought the forward controls off Darren, and I had my mate Stewie make up just these simple aluminium extension brackets. And with my long legs, it helps keep my knees below the tank. So the drive belt's also from Darren. The seats from Darren, it had a really flash Corbin seat on it, but I didn't like it. Cheapest seat he had hanging up in the shed, and it was the only one that I liked that was comfortable enough for this bike. $100 for the seat, boom, done. Now, motor, that's also from Darren. When I was down to Victoria last year around April, I was coming home and about 40 k's down in Narrandera, it dropped the bottom bearing on the front pot. It was still running. I was in the middle of nowhere. I wasn't stopping in the middle of nowhere out there between Jewellery, Narrandera or wherever I was. No, it was actually somewhere between Tokemore and Narrandera. It was middle of nowhere, and I just held it at 70 mile an hour all the way to town. I wasn't stopping. And anyway, finally got the bike home, blah, blah, blah. Picked up this motor from Darren, second hand, $3,000, and chucked it in there, and I've done over 15,000 miles on this motor already. Hasn't used a drop of oil, and it's had a couple of oil changes. So, motor from Darren. Now the back wheel. What are we up to? The back wheel. Now, why have I got a solid back wheel in there? Well, I'll tell you why. I've been riding this around for about 3 or 4 months, wondering why the back end of the bike was handling a bit sloppy. So I thought, I'm about to do a trip down to Gympie, you know, that's about a couple 100k down and back, or about 160 mile down and back, something like that. And she was handling a bit sloppy in the corners, so I went to pump the tyre up. And when I looked in, I found all these broken straight out of the centre of the rim, out of the hub, and they are lying on the ground there. Smacked all these spokes straight out, like holy fuck. So got on the phone to Darren and went down and picked up the solid rim. He gave it to me a pretty good price. And then I had to have my disc machined out to fit the hub, because the that hub there is definitely smaller than the hub on this wheel. So I had to have the disc machined out. Had to have the drive pulley machined out to suit the hub as well. And then the most expensive part was having these spaces made up. I set her into alignment just using washers either side until I got the alignment pretty much dead perfect. Went down to the local machine shop here in town, and for machining out the drive machining out the drive pulley, machining out the disc, and making up these spaces, he charged me, it was almost $400 fucking dollars. Couldn't believe it. Wasn't overly impressed. So, but anyway, and then I had to get a new back tyre in there. So it cost me about $700 to get that back wheel in there. But yet another Darren Cross part. Same as up the front here. Master cylinder for the brake line, because this all had floorboards and everything. So bought all the forward controls off Darren, and like I said, Stewie just made up these brackets for me. And the air cleaner, that's probably the latest thing that's gone on the bike. And I'll tell you what, it used to have this on there. I mean, that looked pretty flash. That was a very flash looking air cleaner. And it seemed to do the job okay, but it was because basically to change the air filter, you had to pull these little ones out, which none of my Allen keys fit these Allen heads. Not one Allen key I had owned fit that. So you had to pull one of them or both of them off top and bottom, then split it apart to get to your air cleaner. It was just a pain in the ass. And the other thing was, when I was coming back from Gympie a couple of months ago and it pissed down rain all the way home, this thing here was just scooping up water like a water wheel out of a river, and the bike just coughed and farted and splattered and cut it out and blah blah blah, and I sort of got it going, and then I weighed the rain out, and then on the way back from Scarrybarrow to home, hit some more torrential rain. Same thing, this thing was just sucking water in like you wouldn't believe, and the bike actually almost engine locked. It was just like, so I thought bugger this, not doing that anymore. And Darren just happened to have this teardrop air cleaner, and I already had the brackets to suit. I run a Mikuni S47 or an S42 Mikuni carby in there. Apparently, according to the Mikuni people up in Cairns, that's 1975 carby on a 94 bike, and doing quite well. So yeah, and when I put it on also, it was rubbing on the tank, so that's why there's a little bit of an indentation here, and the tank doesn't quite sit right. I had to raise it by a couple of washes under here just so I can clear the air cleaner. So I had to put some washers under the tank here just to raise it enough so my air cleaner wasn't rubbing on the tank, because the last thing I want to do is put a hole on my tank, and especially there because there's no way around it. So, and also, fork seals have arrived. my fork seals have arrived, and hopefully with the weather hopefully improving this week. I'm not really sure. It's just been pretty cold and wet and miserable for the last week. We haven't wanted to do anything. That'll be the next job, as my front fork seal's leaking on the left-hand side, and I may as well just get in and just replace them. I don't think they've ever been done. So, but anyway, for those who are interested, that's me 94 FLSTN Softail. And a lot of this bike, as you just found out, has been built from Darren Cross down in Gympie. Also, the old brass nut up here came from my mate Pete down in Victoria when I was down there. Somehow this nut had to be used somewhere else because something else had fallen off on the bike out in the middle of nowhere, so I'd scavenged the nut from here, and Pete had this beautiful brass one sitting down his shed down there in Vic. So yeah, thanks for that, Pete. So yeah, that's so anyway, that's my bike. I've got rear shocks to replace at some stage. I'll be getting older, Darren. They definitely need replacing. After that run to Bundy and back the other day, I was like, yeah, I need to do something better than that. So the first thing I want to do is replace the front fork seals, wait for the weather to improve, do a run down in Gympie, catch up with Darren, and maybe buy some rear shocks off him. So, but anyway, worlds, that's the breakdown of the bike. So you know the drill. Stay safe, keep your knees in the breeze, and I'll catch you later. Bye.